Pumping Kamala Kuala and Coffee, 10th VR 5786. No one really knows for sure. Elevate, Elo Different, Elo Keem Haim, but this system is already lived by. We've been doing this shit 122 days. Really? Yes, sir. What else? Son? ESPN, da-na-na, na-na-na. That's what fucking lies in the deepest, darkest fucking parts of my brain. Really? Yeah, just an ESPN song. Yeah. They don't even play it anymore. They're fucking earworm. Alright. But is that the end of your story? No, dog, we've got some shit to review. Like what? Thing. Why? Why not? Donna Reed's hot as fuck. 57. Oh, shit. 3761, creation of the world, birth of Adam and Eve. 3631, 137th son of Adam was born. 3526, 235, Enosh, son of Seth, was born. 3436, 325, Kenan, son of Enosh, was born. 3366, 395, Mahalel, son of Kenan, was born. Got that fucking bullshit up. Fucking Omer. What is it? Rukata deny Elohim Maklam Meshach Shana B'Mitzvah Fitzvanu Al Seferat HaOmer. Blessed are you, Hashem, our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us concerning the counting of the Omer. Today is 26 days, which is 3 weeks and 5 days of the Omer. May the merciful one rebuild the Beit HaMikdash. No. May the merciful one restore unto us the service of the Beit HaMikdash to its place speedily in our days. Amen. Salah. Today's 26 days, which is 3 weeks and 5 days. Wow, I did it. I'm kicking ass, taking names, baby. All right, here we go. This is day 2 of this bullshit. Where we look up hot Latina and Asian chicks. Latinx. Asian X.
I'm Dr. Justin Sledge.
What up, Dr. Justin Sledge? What about Indian? There are a lot of Indian chicks. I don't know.
And religion.
List of hottest Indian chicks.
And starting to study Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah.
Fuck. I don't know. Just do beautiful
just how those
Indian women or
ideas
something.
developed over time. It's tempting to think that, for instance, Kabbalah has just always existed in the form that we have it, or that Kabbalah
that bitch is hot as fuck.
Of course, these positions are tenable. Such notions developed greatly through the ages and are
They're
still
all wearing
developing.
that shit.
And there are now, and there have always
no weddings.
Numerous mutually exclusive schools
Southeast
of
Asian
Jewish mysticism
shit's
and
huge.
Kabbalah. This to serve as an introduction to Jewish Kabbalah from the point of view of its incredibly complex development from the prophets of ancient Israel until the rise of modern Hasidism in the 18th century. Of course, this series isn't to be exhaustive, but it should serve as a springboard for and hopefully also mysticism and Kabbalah in their historical and cultural context, and hopefully embolden you to dive into the primary texts, which are admittedly as sublime as they are obscure. Let me express my gratitude to Congregation Tchia for allowing me to use these lectures to reach a larger audience here on Esoterica. If you want, you can find the entire series under the playlist Entering the Garden, an Introduction to Jewish Mysticism and Kabbalah. I'll be uploading them over the next few weeks, or if you find these episodes after autumn of 2021 and you want to watch the entire series, you can find them in that playlist. If you find this series a lot interesting, I'd hope you check out my other content on topics in esotericism and perhaps supporting the production of academic and scholarly topics in occultism, hermetic, by joining my Patreon or perhaps a one-time donation. You can find those links below, and I really appreciate your. Now, let's enter the garden of Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. Well, I want to say welcome back this evening to the second part of our 10-session romp through Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. And as we talked about last time,
that's
right?
tight.
And
One
Kabbalah,
person.
right? We're still 12
That's
years
tight.
away from Kabbalah. Still way off in distance. So we're still much in a time period
Game changer.
right around an era. That is to say, around the year 0. Right? That's if you want to get an anchor of where we are. And just to recap a bit, right? Last time,
That's a bullshit.
we defined mysticism, at least for the purposes of this class, which doing things like mysticism makes it certain that everybody will disagree with studies this stuff. So I'm just basically anytime I say I'm going to define mysticism, it's like putting a target on my back. But the way that I want to define it is as a non-rational mode in which one experiences or learns about fundamental reality, and also the traditions that accrue around those experiences. So I would call someone that studies mysticism for the idea that those mystics learn fundamental truths, even though perhaps that himself didn't have those experiences. So I would say that there's also the idea that you lean on the mystics to learn what they learn, and that puts you in the tradition of folks who are in fact mystics. Tradition and those that say, look, I never had this experience, but I actually doesn't involve experiences. Last time, even Jewish, the first Jewish mystics were Israelites, which is a much broader category. Remember that Jews, the Yehudim, received that name as being that complex. And so Jewish mystics were all over Shiites. And we said that the two forms of mysticism that seem to have in Israelites, God showed up to them, God appeared, and for other people, God spoke to them. And if you speak on the behalf of God, that makes you a prophet. Although sometimes those folks are referred to as roeh. The idea there is that we have the idea that either those folks can see the future or they hear something and they communicate. Those folks we typically refer to as the prophets. Important theophanies in the Hebrew Bible, historically speaking at least, we don't think that the theophany described in Exodus, where God showed up to the Israelites and to Moses, we're fairly confident that that's a mythological piece of information, not a historical one. But we are relatively confident, many scholars are relatively confident, that the prophets Isaiah and Ezekiel did have some kind of phenomenological encounter, and that encounter they recorded in the literature of the book of Isaiah and the book of Ezekiel, respectively. You might be wondering, right, how can you say that Moses didn't exist? Well, it's not about whether he did or didn't, it's about what we have evidence for. And we just don't have evidence, really, to believe that happened. But we have pretty good evidence to believe that the experiences of Isaiah and Ezekiel were, in fact, recorded. And as we talked about last time, prophecy is very well attested all over the ancient Near East, with the weird exception of Egypt. Egypt is kind of prophet-free, which, all things being equal, sounds great. I wouldn't want to live anywhere. I don't want any prophets in my neighborhood. I don't need a guy walking down my street screaming at people because they're like, woe to the disbelievers, Yahweh's going to kill you all. I'm like, I'm going to call the cops on. So I don't want to live anywhere near prophets. And so Egypt seems like a pretty great place to be prophet-free. We saw last time that there are a great deal of prophets that live, especially in the Neo-Assyrian context, which tracks very carefully, and so we actually know a great deal about, or a good deal about those other ancient Near East prophets. We also know that one of the things that are crazy, you in your toast doesn't mean Jesus in your toast. It might be that you need help. And so people in the ancient world also thought, right, this guy's just drunk, right? And there's many cases in the Bible where other people are like, they're drunk. And so this was an idea. And so we see other ancient Near East cultures engaging prophecy and other mechanisms by which to detect whether a prophecy is reliable or duels between prophets to establish which prophets are actually telling the truth. Prophetic duels need to be a video game. Just saying. It's a fighting game with prophets. And what brings prophecy to an end and what sets us up for our transition tonight is that, as you may remember, part of what happens in the theophany literature of the Hebrew Bible is that the God of the Israelites, Yahweh, makes himself known